from the University of Akron in 2004. Has been teaching writing since 1988. It taught it at many levels, and currently is the composition director for Georgia Gwinnett College. And I must say, the other day when we all met, Susan did impress us with her her knowledge of D2l. It was quite impressive. Susan, I'm going to shift control over to you, and you will be able to share your screen. Oh, Brian, are you recording?
Yes, I am.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, hello everyone. I'm Suzanne Biedenbach, and I'm very happy to be here today to share with you what we've been doing here at GGC with Georgia Gwinnett College. So I've put together a little presentation first just to kind of give you a background of, you know, what we've been doing with LaunchPad and the deep integration over the last 2 semesters. And then after that, I'll be happy to answer any questions about D2l or LaunchPad. Okay, first of all, a little background. Right now, I'm teaching a co-requisite model at GGC that includes a first-year composition course paired with a developmental writing course. We're using the ALP program as our model, and we set it up a little bit differently than ALP originally has students in an 1101 type or an English comp course, and then just a smaller developmental course, and we knew that kind of wouldn't fly with our administration, so we developed what Peter Haddams, the creator of the ALP program, he named it the triangle model, but we did it just more because we knew that that way our administration would accept the program. So in essence, what we did is we didn't change anything on the schedule. So each of us teaches each person that teaches in the Segway model teaches 2 sections of English 1101 with 22 students. 14 of those students are regularly placed students, and then 8 students in each section are in the developmental course, so they're what we call Segway students. That's our ALP program. We just named it Segway. So then we end up with 16 students in the developmental writing course, just so you can kind of get an idea of what this all looks like. That's the caps on the course. We rarely have a full 16, although this semester I actually had 17 on my list at the beginning, but I'm down to 15 now. So we normally operate around probably 12 to 14 students is the most common. Okay, and all 3 courses are taught by the same professor, so again, you know, we're following pretty closely the ALP model, and we found that that's super important. I know schools have tried having a different instructor for the developmental course, but we found that it works much better if that is kept consistent. So I'm the professor for all 3 of these courses. Okay, so why LaunchPad? Well, I was really attracted to LaunchPad because of the interactive kind of approach for reinforcing concepts. I had used other kinds of online sorts of things that were, you know, more, that weren't quite as interactive as LaunchPad, and I didn't find them as effective as what I found LaunchPad. So I've been using Learning Curve, just kind of standalone Learning Curve by itself, for several semesters, and then just switched over to the full LaunchPad with the integration to D2l last semester. So this is only my 2nd semester, so I'm still kind of getting my feet wet with it, but so far everything's been going really well. I like that students can work at their own pace outside of class, so I can assign you know, some activities to them, and they're able to work on it outside of class at their own pace. The material is presented in many different ways, which I find that very attractive because it meets the needs of students with different learning styles. You know, there are videos, ebook pages, the interactive learning curve is also a part of LaunchPad. So these are some of the reasons why, you know, I was attracted to that and like using it for my class. So using the LaunchPad specifically in the co-requisite model, we use LaunchPad Solo for readers and writers, and we're currently, the handbook that's required in our developmental courses and both of our first-year comm courses is Rules for Writers, and we're still using the older edition because we didn't want to change in the middle of the school year. So we may switch over, depending on what's offered, to LaunchPad for Rules for Writers next year. That's something we'll be exploring over the summer. But for now, we're using the LaunchPad Solo for readers and writers, which really works very well in this co-requisite model. With the deep integration, one thing that's been very nice is that students, and this is kind of what sold me on using this to begin with, is that my students only need one access code. So the students who are in Segway, which means they're taking both the English 1101 and the English 99, they do not need to purchase a separate access code. One access code gets them into both courses. I use different features from the LaunchPad Solo for readers and writers in each course. So students are not getting repeats, in the English 1101 and the English 99. I'm actually using completely different features of the same product. So in my English 1101, I'm using, all the writing process kind of materials, and then in the English 99, I'm using the grammar and sentence structure material. Okay, the deep integration with D2l has been great. Last semester, as I said, was the first time I had used it. Prior to that, I just used Learning Curve. Actually, I did experiment some with LaunchPad over the summer, but it was outside of D2l. So anything my students did in LaunchPad or in Learning Curve, I had to, kind of manually enter into D2l. But I'm really enjoying the integration. It allows for seamless incorporation of my own materials right alongside of the LaunchPad materials, and I'll show you some of that here in a little bit. But I really like that. So the students, to them, it's all part of the same class, which is really nice. So they complete all of their activities on LaunchPad through the course D2l homepage. So they don't have to go outside of D2l to complete these assignments. That could get kind of tricky with students and kind of confusing, even though I would put links on my D2l page to link them to LaunchPad or to Learning Curve. They still sometimes would get kind of confused. So now, they don't really, to them, they're just working through our D2l page. So it's really nice. So again, less confusion for students. Also, the deep integration allows for grades from LaunchPad materials to be directly imported into my D2l gradebook. So I don't have to, do what I used to do, where I would write down the grades out of the LaunchPad gradebook and then I'd enter them manually into D2l, and I don't have to do any of that now because LaunchPad just sticks them right into the D2l gradebook immediately. Okay, so what I've also put together are some screenshots to kind of show you what this looks like in my two courses. And then what I'll do is I'll get out of here and I can answer some questions, and if you'd all like, I can walk you through. I plan to walk you through setting up an activity in LaunchPad and integrating it with D2l kind of step by step, how to go about doing that. Because that's what we found here at GGC. I'm probably the only person who's completely using this, even though our LMS person, our D2l person has set it up so that this is available in every one of our probably probably more than that, probably about 60 to 80 sections of English 1101, and then we have 24 sections of English 99. And I know some people have kind of tried it, but they weren't sure how to do it. So this has been great that I've sort of come up with step by step. So I'm hoping to roll this out in a little bit bigger way here at our school. Okay, this is a screenshot from the front page of my English 1101 course. As you can see, I go in and sort of create mine. This isn't our standard default page. I've been using D2l for about 12 years, so I go in and completely make it the way I want it to look. So I get rid of all the stuff I don't use, to try to make it as user-friendly for students as possible. So what I do with the course content is I set it up in folders as you can see over here to the left, and it's a lot easier for students to find the material this way. So in the English 1101 class, I have a folder for LaunchPad activities. Okay, and then this is what it looks like once students click on the folder. Then they will have, you know, the option of the different activities over here. And this, you can see I've got a lot more on here. This scrolls down, and so they can click right on this, and it will take them right to LaunchPad. And then this is just a screenshot of my grade book from one of my 1101s to kind of show you how nicely, you know, it sticks everything in here. Most of these quizzes are from LaunchPad, but I've got a couple of things of my own materials that I put right, you know, in with the quizzes, and so everything is just there very nicely, you know, all together. Let's see, and then the English 99, so remember these students that are in this English 99 are also in the 1101, so this is part of our ALP, you know, co-requisite program. And so what I do is I try to set up my D2L pages to look fairly similar in both courses, again, to, you know, so there's less confusion for students. So same thing, I have the content set up over here in folders, and so I have one for grammar modules. Again, in, you know, English 99, that's mostly what I use, or that's all that I use from LaunchPad, the grammar components of it. So then there again, you know, once they click on the grammar modules, then they get something that looks sort of like this, just so you could kind of get a feel for what my course looks like. And then again, here's the grade book. So I have it all set up here. You know, the LaunchPad activities, so I have them do the learning curve activities, and they get a grade for that in the developmental course, and then the quizzes or the post-tests, then I also have a separate category. So just so you could kind of get an idea and an overview of what it looks like. This is my contact information, so if any of you have any questions or anything, or you know, want to contact me, feel free. You know, like I said, I'm probably more comfortable even talking about D2L than LaunchPad, but I'm starting to learn the LaunchPad. So, you know, any questions that you have about either of those things or how I use them together, please feel free to contact me. Okay, let me get back out of here and go back on to the WebEx. I don't know how to get back. Okay,
Suzanne, what are you? We're seeing everything on your screen, so.
Oh, okay. So it's okay. So it doesn't show me. So if people are asking questions, I won't be able to see that, right?
No, but I can read. People can write questions in, and we can read them to you. So that as I mentioned at the beginning, everyone's muted because when you have a large group, you get a lot of background noise. So if people are encouraged to ask questions, but they're going to write them in, and we'll read them to you.
Oh, okay. I just wanted to make sure I wasn't slighting anybody if somebody was asking a question and I just kept talking. Okay. Well, I guess what I was going to do next is kind of go through step by step how to link everything together with LaunchPad and D2L. So this is, and this isn't a screenshot, this is my actual D2L page for the developmental course for English 99. So the first thing that's kind of been confusing some of our instructors, so I thought I'd kind of just tell you step by step how this works. I'm assuming that this works pretty much the same way at all schools. I do know that at our school, I had to ask our LMS rep, you know, to make sure that the Macmillan course tool widget was put onto my course because, you know, I was trying to do things that I couldn't do anything, couldn't figure out why, and it's because all of this down here was missing. So as I said earlier, this is now on all sections of English 1101 and English 99 here at GGC. So the first step that instructors have to do, they can't just jump right in and start using it. They have to first link the course, which is very simple. Mine is already linked, so I can't really show you how to do that. But what happens at the beginning of the semester is this widget is down here, and there's a LaunchPad logo. I think it looks a little bit different on the first page, but if you click on that, it walks you through. I mean, It's super simple. It does everything for you and links your course. So that's the very first step, is making sure that the D2L course is linked with LaunchPad. So of course mine is already linked. So then if you want to then set up materials in LaunchPad and have them linked directly with your D2L course, the next step, and I know that talking to Scott and to Casey, that there are different ways to do this, but I found that what works best for me is I first set up my gradebook in D2L. So I have my gradebook all set up because you have to have categories in order for LaunchPad to know where to put the items in D2L. And from what I understand, that if the categories are set up in LaunchPad, it kind of works the same way. But I think because I'm more comfortable with D2L, it makes more sense to me to have the D2L page set up first. So at the very beginning of the semester, before I enter anything in, I have all my categories set up in my gradebook. So once that's done, now I'm ready to go ahead and bring material in then from LaunchPad. So I'm going to go back to the home page. So the first step in doing this is to go into LaunchPad. So I click down at the bottom on the logo. And this is actually taking me to LaunchPad. And then just another piece of information and again, I just do this for myself so that it's more organized. I go through and I get rid of all the stuff I'm not going to use. So this is the developmental course. You can see it's all the grammar stuff, and so all of the writing, all of the process kinds of material, all of those things are in my English 1101 class. So I kind of clean it up and I get rid of everything I don't want, and then I go through and I hide everything. Oh, wait a minute, what did that say? I just saw a question, it pops up and then it goes away before I can read it. Scott, somebody, can you tell me what that question was?
Yes, the question, do your grades come over automatically? Did I hear that correctly, was the question?
Yes, that is absolutely true. But one thing is you have to be sure it's set up right. And I had trouble with that last semester, figuring it all out. And so that's what I was going to kind of show you step by step how to do it. And actually, to tell you all too, I am putting together creating this presentation today helped me. I'm putting together an actual handout to give to my own faculty that takes them step by step on how to do this. So anybody that's interested, please email me and I will be happy to send a copy to you that goes through step by step, because if you miss a step anywhere and things are not connected correctly, it doesn't work. Because some of my own faculty had problems with it, so they sort of gave up when the grades weren't automatically being imported in, and it works beautifully if it's set up right. So that's that's the key, is getting it set up right. So the first step is to, like I said, categories have to be set up at some time. To me, it makes more sense to have your D2L gradebook set up first. So you have all your categories set up first in D2L, okay? And then you come over here to LaunchPad, and as I was saying earlier, you don't necessarily have to do this, but because I'm using it in 2 courses, just to help myself, because there's a giant list of all kinds of different options, so I get rid of what I'm not using in the course, and then I go through and I hide everything until I'm ready for it. So these are all the assignments that I've already assigned, that students have already worked on up here. And then down here are all of the things that are waiting for me to assign. So these are hidden to students. They can't see them currently. So the next kind of little, I guess, unit or whatever that I'm going to be assigning in this course is this coordination and subordination. So the first step is assign it. So you're going to click over here on assign, and then set a date for it. So mine's going to be due February 17th, and it's going to be due at 2 o'clock. That's the time of my class. So I'm going to set that and assign. So okay. The other thing, let's see, that you have to make sure, you see how mine still says that it's hidden. So even though I've assigned it, students can't see it yet, so I got to make sure that I also click here, visible to students. Okay, so now it's all visible. Let's see, so now the next thing I'm going to do is go through and figure out exactly what I'm going to assign. Now, I'm not a pretest. I don't like pretest, the idea of pretest, so I personally don't use the pretest. So then if you go over here to more options, you can remove any material that you don't want students to use. Now, the rest of this I'm going to leave in here. Now, I want to make sure that students get credit for completing the learning curve and for the post-test. So the learning curve, I want this to go into my gradebook. So here's how you do that. Okay, so if you go over here to more options, and then to edit, this screen pops up. So you go to the assignment tab up here in the upper left. Okay, and it should show the date that I set for the entire subordination and coordination and subordination unit. So you can see the date that I set is in here for February 17th. Now, I want this to be worth 100 points in my grade book, so I'm going to change it down here. Okay, now here's what I was talking about with the grade book category, and this is what threw off a lot of my instructors here. If you don't change this, what's going to happen is this is going to create a new grade category in D2L. So if you don't tell it where to put it, it's going to create its own category. So if that happens, this is going to throw this over into my grade book, and it's going to mess up my grade book. The percentages are not going to be correct anymore. So what you have to do is create your own category. So you're going to do create new category, and then you're going to create a grade category, gradebook category that matches exactly one of your categories wherever you want it to go in D2L. Now, I've already done that because my students have been working, so you can see I have LaunchPad activities. Okay, that's where I'm putting all of the learning curves. So I've already done that. I only have to do it once, and now every time I come back, it's going to be there for me. So that's where I want this to go in my grade book, into LaunchPad activities. Okay, so now I'm going to save the changes. So now the LaunchPad activity is ready to go. Under settings, there's really not much here for LaunchPad, but I'm going to show you with the test, the post-test, there's definitely more options. Okay, so now I'm done editing this, and I'm moving back then to, okay, the post-test. Okay, and so I'm going to go through the same thing here with the post-test. I'm going to edit it, okay, assignment. Okay, the date's all correct, so I'm going to go down here again to points. Okay, and now again, I don't want this coordination subordination new category created for me in D2L because that's not where I want it. I want it in my, where is it, LaunchPad quizzes. Okay, and again, if I didn't have this already, I could create it right now in LaunchPad, but I've already done that, so I'm going to take that. Okay, so I'm going to save the changes. Okay, now with quizzes or the post-tests, you get a lot more options. And these are all, if you've used D2L, you probably recognize these things from D2L. So if you've ever set up a quiz in D2L, okay, these are some of the options that you have in D2L. So instead, I need to set them up in LaunchPad. And this is, again, another thing you have to make sure that in LaunchPad, you're setting up everything that you want to happen once it gets over into D2L. If you don't do one or more of these things, then it's not going to act the way you want it to. It may not even put the grades over in D2L. Okay, but if you have everything set up right, it will. Now, with my quizzes in the developmental class, I always give them 2 attempts. Students tend to have, technology issues or whatever, because if they go in once, then that counts as an attempt. So I usually give them a couple of attempts. For these, I do give them just a 30-minute time limit, so I'm going to change that. And some of this is all personal preference. I like it better when they just get one question at a time, so I'm going to change that. I don't want them to be able to save and go out of it and come back in, so that's why I put the time limit on it, because I want them to do this on their own, and not get too much help. So I don't want them to keep going in and out of it. And then I also, down here, I'll switch this that they cannot, it won't show the questions and the answers until after the due date is passed. Again, if a couple of students are sitting and doing this together, you know, I just want to make sure that, you know, they're not passing answers, I guess, back and forth. So, but this is all preference. And then now this one's all ready to go. So I'm going to save it. Okay, now when we go to show you how this looks in D2L, we're going to go back over to D2L. Okay, now we're still not done. We've set up everything in LaunchPad, but now we've got to make LaunchPad talk to D2L. Okay, so now that I've got it all set up, I'm going to come back over here to D2L. I'm going to go up to Course Builder. Okay, and remember I already have my grammar modules module set up over here. So I'm going to grab, see the Macmillan logo over here? I'm going to grab that and I'm going to move it over here to grammar modules. And it's going to now it's talking to LaunchPad. So these are all the options of the different material that I can move in from LaunchPad. Okay, so I just finished setting up this coordination and subordination, and this, again, is a matter of preference. I could click here and just bring it in this way, but I usually check to make sure, and I want each of these to have a separate tab in my D2L page, so I'm going to click on each of these. Okay, so this is all the material that I want to move over to D2L now. Okay, so now I'm going to deploy the selected content. Okay, and so now my content's been added. So I can come back over here, and remember this was collapsed before. So now if we go scroll down here, you'll see that, whoa, why didn't it come over? Okay, let's try that again. Usually this works perfectly. Oh, maybe I need to refresh up here or something. Sometimes it takes a little bit longer. Oh, there they are. Okay. Sorry. I panicked for a moment. I'm like, this always works beautifully. Okay, there it is. I just needed to refresh. So you can see that everything I just deployed is now here. Remember, I'm new to this too, so got to D2L now just now getting the launch.
If it makes you feel any better, you're not the only one who panicked, Suzanne. So glad we figured that out.
No, it was working, yeah. So as you can see, everything I just brought over is now here for the students. So if we go back to the home page, and I'm going to click over to student view so you can see what my students would see. And see here we've got it, it's now on the calendar, so they know, you know, everything I just set up shows them that this is due, so they know this is coming up. They click on the grammar modules, and now they've got the option to go in and do all of these activities that I just assigned to them. Okay, so I guess that's it for the presentation part, so now I'd love to answer questions.
Yes, we have a couple of questions. First one I got in was, you mentioned learning curve several times. Can you show what that looks like in D2L?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Well, let's just click on the one I just brought in. So if the student clicks on this, here's what they're going to get. Okay, oh, it's still, yeah, let me preview as a student, it still thinks it's me. So here's what they're going to get. It's going to take them to this page, and they're going to get, actually, I think it takes them to, let me go back to home here. I'm going to go to the student view so you can see what they see. Yeah, even if I'm in student view in D2L, when I go into learning, or I'm sorry, into LaunchPad, I'm still on faculty view, so let's see. Okay, so, uh-oh, wait a minute. I'm glad you did that. Yeah, see, these are still hidden, so I can hide them. All my students are like, Dr. B, why can't I see them? Okay, now we're ready to look at it. Okay, there we go. Okay, here's what students will see. When they click on it, they'll get this page, and it just kind of lets them know that, you know, here's what's coming up. So they're going to get, you know, coordination, subordination, and then identifying sentence emphasis. So they start the activity, and then here's what they get. So they get one question at a time, and what will happen is this little, if you've never used Learning Curve, it's really kind of cool because students get, I think it's like 20 questions maybe is the minimum, but it keeps giving them questions, and this little clicker thing at the bottom will keep moving across until the system feels that they've mastered the concept. And so once the student reaches the end and has mastered the concept, then 100% then goes over into the gradebook. So this one is you know, it's different for each student. So it may take one student, you know, 20 questions. It may take another student 40 questions to master the concept, but they get to keep working it, so it keeps giving them questions until they master it. Now, they can also get hints. They can get, you know, it'll show them. I mean, there's all kinds of different things they can do over here to help them understand the material. So it's really cool. I love Learning Curve. I've been using this, like I said, for a couple of years now, outside of D2l on its own, but this is a really nice thing. So if there's ever a Learning Curve, I always assign that above anything else.
Could you click on next question? Could you click on next question and answer one so people see what happens? Like the student answers it, and yeah, then they'll see the bar.
I'm not even going to read. I'm not even going to read it. I'm just going to click one and see what it says. Okay, that one's wrong. That's not the correct answer because of this. You know, so try again, or I can refer to my book, and it's going to bring up, you know, the workbook pages, and I mean the handbook pages, and so there's all kinds of. It's pretty interactive. Students really like it. They really do, so.
Okay, thank you. We have another question. I've got a question from a woman in an international program teaching jointly with Ireland. Their grade schematic is different than the U.S. grade schematic. You know, of D2l, can they use multiple grading schematics in a single class in D2l? So it's a bit of a D2l question, but maybe you do know that?
I know how to set up your own grade scheme, but I don't know the answer to that question if you can use two different schemes in one class. My guess is probably no. Let me see. Let's go in and just see if you're setting, oh, I'm in student view still. I don't think there's an option for that. I know you can change it to whatever you want it to be, but I don't think there's a way you can assign different schemes to different students. I don't know how that would.
I mean, just a thought on my end. I know in LaunchPad you might be able to set up two different sections, or give it can be done in our LaunchPad system. So my guess is it could probably be done in D2l. But honestly, I don't know how to. So I'm sorry about that. But I thought we'd try. Brian, I believe you got a question sent in.
I do. Do students need to enter their LaunchPad access code just once at the beginning of the course, or do they need to every time they access the course?
No, great question, and they only have to answer, or they only have to enter it one time at the very beginning, and they also, there is an option that they can get a 2-week free trial. So I have all my students on the same day. We do it in class. We set it up in class, and so everyone, even if they don't have the access code purchased, well, there's a couple of options. They can actually purchase it online right there at the point where they enter the access code. But yeah, they only have to do it once. And the nice thing with D2l is they don't even have to sign in after that. So all they do is enter the access code one time. They don't have to worry about signing onto the course or collecting the course because they're already in the course since it's integrated, and they never have to sign in again. All they have to do is sign into D2l like normal, and they're in it. And the really cool thing is for this semester is the first semester where I really saw it in action, because then on the same day in my developmental class, the students were in Segway, the same day that we had signed on in 1101, I had them go in to see what would happen in the English 99, and all they had to do was the first time they accessed it, they didn't have to put the access code in. All they had to do was sign in using, you know, whatever sign-in they gave themselves in the 1101, and boom, they were in my 99 class. And so now both classes, all they do is click on the activity, and it takes them right to it. It's really nice.
Oh, sorry, I was muted. Thank you, Susan. There's another question, probably more for Paul and Casey. Do you know if students are able to purchase access to LaunchPad directly in D2l?
Yes, I can answer that. They can. A lot of mine did.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah, the first day they click on it, and it brings up a screen that asks them to either enter a code to purchase access or to get a free trial. And so, yeah, some of my students, they whipped out their credit cards and accessed it right then and there. And it was actually, about $2 or $3 cheaper than if they went over to our bookstore to buy it. So it's actually less expensive. Well, it depends on your bookstore, I guess.
Thank you. Another question. How did you get the Macmillan logo into your D2l? I think it's a content question. That seems to be, how did you make the content appear, the Macmillan content appear in D2l?
Again, that's whoever the learning management system person is at your school, whoever is the one that does all of that. Once he put the Macmillan Course Tools widget into our D2l courses, it was all there. You know, so I didn't have to do anything. Yeah, it's just one, you know, yeah.
And I believe, Casey and Paul, correct me if I'm wrong here, and I don't believe I am, once it's turned on for the school, everyone at that school can have it. So many people will have it already, but once it's turned on institution-wide. Let me just check again to see if we have any questions I'm missing. I don't believe so. I think that is it. Thank you very much, Suzanne. Thank you, everyone, for your time. We'll be following up with you with a link to this and some other information in the next day or two. We appreciate it. Have a wonderful day and weekend.
You too. Thank you, everyone.
Bye-bye. Brian, you can stop the recording now, please.